Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you for clicking on this video and watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the coronavirus's impact, and I hesitate to say that because YouTube has been demonetizing people for saying coronavirus, but I only have 32 subscribers. So I'm not really worried about that. I'll speak the truth, and I don't care if I get demonetized or not. The coronavirus will lead the US into a recession. And I'm saying that because partly it's based on what we are doing. You see this recession? Yeah, if you haven't noticed, the stock market has been tanking lately, and I think it's down about 30% now. Goldman Sachs released a report that said they believe stocks could fall an additional 20%. And they are predicting that in the second quarter, we're actually expecting negative GDP growth. So that is the definition of a recession, and that is where we are heading. So in today's video, I want to talk first about why we're heading into a recession. I'll explain why coronavirus will lead us into a recession. And then I'm going to talk about whether you should buy airline and cruise stocks right now or whether you should wait to buy them. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of other YouTubers, and they're saying, wow, look at, Carnival Cruise, or look at Norwegian Cruise Lines, or I'm going to buy all these airline stocks. And yes, I think there are some good buying opportunities in this group of stocks that has been hit hard by the coronavirus, but I also want to caution you guys, and I want to give you some points to consider on why it might be prudent to wait until later on in the year to consider scooping up these airline and cruise stocks and really any travel and entertainment related stocks that have been hit hard by coronavirus. I'm going to make a case in this video why you might want to wait to buy those stocks later. And really, I'm making a case in this video as to why you might want to wait just in general to buy stocks. I know a lot of you probably have, you're down to a very small amount of cash and you're wondering, when should I buy stocks? Should I dollar cost average in? Can I wait? Are things going to get better? And in this channel, I talk about long-term investing. So I don't want you guys to watch this video and, think that I'm telling you to go and sell all your stocks because things are going to get worse. I could be completely wrong and things could change quickly. I can't predict the future and I don't know what is going to happen in the future. So I don't want you guys to hear what I'm saying and cause you to panic. I don't want that at all. I really think that we're going to come out of this coronavirus panic, this pandemic, and be okay. I think our economy is going to rebound. But let me explain why I think that this could continue going on for a while and why you really need to be careful if you're thinking of buying some more stocks right at this moment. I printed out these graphics, which I think are going to be really helpful in me explaining this. And I read a ton of articles. I probably put like 40 hours of research into this video before I filmed it because I wanted to get all my facts straight and I wanted to give you guys the best understanding of what is happening right now and try to give you guys the best prediction of what is the most likely outcome to happen in the future. And so that's my point with this video is I want to help you understand what could happen in the future so you can make the best investing decisions for yourself. You probably noticed that a lot of things have been on lockdown lately. Just, everything is getting shut down. I went to Chipotle today and it was a ghost town and they said that I was not allowed to sit in the restaurant and eat. I was only allowed to take food to go. And I think that that is pretty common with all of the restaurants, probably restaurants in your town, wherever you are, everything is getting shut down. And let me explain why that is. If we did not shut anything down, then this is what the spread of coronavirus would look like. It would start with one person and then it would rapidly spread. And I drew this red line because really the concern right now is if it spreads too quickly, and I put 1 month down here. I made up these things. This isn't scientific, but if we just let it go on its own and it spread wildly over a month, we have the potential of exceeding our hospital capacity. And I've read some statistics on the coronavirus, and it does have quite a few more complications than the normal flu. And, it's a respiratory illness, so you're going to need ventilators. People that are older might need to be in ICU units. And right now in the US at any given time, we only have 300,000 beds available. That's our hospital capacity, 300,000. So if this number spiked, and let's say we had 10 million Americans who all needed medical treatment at the same time, and we assume that, maybe 5% of them or 10% of them need to be admitted to a hospital, we could easily exceed the 300,000 capacity. So this is what would happen if we took zero precautions and we acted like we were all in Florida on spring break, which is what they're doing right now in Florida. Is everybody is just partying on the beach and pretending like coronavirus doesn't exist. So if the whole nation did that, this is what would happen. Now, what we are doing is we are stretching it out as long as we can. So we're trying to stretch it out over 6 months or longer. And what that does is it delays and then flattens the curve. You can see this is the max number of people that would be infected. And the goal is to keep it under the hospital capacity. So under this red line. So really, what this boils down to, guys, is we are purposely hurting our economy to try to save lives. Our economy is highly dependent on consumer spending. I think it's 80% of our economy is driven by consumer spending. And so we're shutting down everything because we are really trying to flatten the curve. And so it's a trade-off here. This option, the don't take any precautions, means we can avoid economic recession, most likely. We could avoid going into a recession. But the downside is more people would die. It's kind of a bad trade-off. But if we did it this way, we would kind of shoot ourselves in the foot and we would hurt ourselves by harming our economy by shutting things down. But we would slow the spread and we would stay under that hospital capacity. People would still die. People are still going to die from this. People have died. But the goal of hurting our economy is so that we don't exceed the hospital capacity and so that less people die. The unfortunate side effect is that the economy does get hurt and it can lead to a recession. And it might even lead to a global recession, but we're not to that point yet. That's what's going on, and I want you guys to understand that. So the goal of what we're doing to control the spread of this virus is to delay as long as possible. And I read an interesting article that talked about the difference between mitigation and suppression. So we're not trying to suppress the spread of the virus for forever, but we're trying to delay it. We're trying to flatten the curve. And so this could go on a lot longer than you might think because we're kind of doing it on purpose for the purpose of saving lives, which I think is a really good goal, to save lives. So what does that mean for stocks and what does that mean for your portfolio? Should you buy stocks now or should you wait? So based on the knowledge, you have a lot of knowledge I just gave you a ton of knowledge, but now that you understand what is going on, really you have to understand that this could go on for a while. That's the first thing. And it's probably going to get worse and stocks probably are going to continue dropping. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, I don't want you to take what I just said and say, oh, well, I should go and sell all my stocks because Justin said it's going to get worse. It's most likely going to get worse. But I want you guys to keep a long-term investing strategy. And I have been doing some strategic selling of my portfolio of certain stocks that I own, but I'm still 90% invested. And especially in my retirement accounts, I'm still 90% invested. But I can go, it's confusing selling stocks. There's tax things, there's wash sale rules, there's all these special things. So I can talk about in another video. That might be my next video that I'll do. Talk about how do you sell stocks? How do you choose which stocks to sell? How do you sell them in a way that you can really take the most advantage of saving taxes in that process and not break any tax rules while doing that? So I can talk about that in the next video. Leave a comment below if that's something that you would want to hear about. What are the risks with airline and cruise stocks? We just talked about how this could continue going on for a lot longer than people might expect. And something that I want to mention about this is the stocks that were hit the hardest, the earliest, are going to be the stocks that are going to be out of commission the longest. They're the stocks, so like take for example cruises. Cruise lines got shut down pretty early in this coronavirus precaution, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. They got shut down pretty early. And let me explain. Hold on, one second, hold on. Okay, let me explain this. All right, let's take cruise stocks and airline stocks first. They were shut down basically here, if you see this line I drew, they were shut down very early when there were not that many cases in the US. So if you're going to buy a cruise or an airline stock, you have to realize that cruise lines, so cruises close, and when they open, won't be until the very end of this crisis. So let's take a stock like Microsoft. You know, Microsoft or some other stock, they might have been impacted maybe like here. You know, they might have been impacted here. And so they're going to become more profitable and get back into growth mode a lot sooner than a cruise would. And so what you have to realize if you are looking at buying one of these cruise stocks or airline stocks is there's a lot more pain. And it's crazy to say because I checked Carnival Cruise Lines and they're already down like 75% from their max, but you have to realize that it could get even worse for them. So you want to be very careful if you're considering buying an airline stock or a cruise stock or something that has been very negatively affected by the coronavirus, because it's going to take a while for them to get back online. So that's just one of the reasons. The other thing is that the longer these stocks are out of commission, the higher their chance of bankruptcy becomes. And we're already seeing that with the airline stocks because Trump is already considering bailouts for the airlines. I don't think he's considering bailouts for the cruise lines because those aren't really necessary infrastructure for our country. However, yes, this is an issue. This is what you have to realize. The longer cruises stay out of commission, the higher their chance of bankruptcy. And something else that I have to mention is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the cost of choosing one investment over another. So if you were down to your last $1,000, in cash and you're ready to invest it, and you're saying, Justin, should I rather invest in a cruise line or Microsoft? I would probably say go ahead and put your money in Microsoft. Even though cruise lines have been more negatively impacted, I think Microsoft is going to not only rebound faster, but I think that Microsoft or some other large company, could be Facebook, Amazon, Google, Apple, I think these companies are going to have much longer, higher growth prospects than a cruise line. So really you want to look at what is my best opportunity 1 year from now, or 3 years from now, or 5 years from now. Would I rather own Microsoft for 5 years, or would I rather own Carnival Cruise Lines for 5 years? And I know you could buy a cruise line and sell it as soon as it rebounds, but I really think it's just very, very risky at this point. I would wait for cruise lines to go down like 90% or 95% before I bought them. But the other thing that I want to talk about, and I see this a lot on YouTube as well, is I see people buying stocks just for the dividend yield. And so it can also be very tempting to look at Carnival Cruise Lines, which right now has a 21% dividend, and say, wow, why don't I just buy this company and I'll get a 21% dividend yield, a guaranteed return each year that I hold it. And that makes a lot of sense, but you have to realize as the stock price drops, the dividend yield goes up. And the problem is, as the stock price drops, it's harder for the company to support that large dividend payment because they're probably seeing a decrease in revenue and there's higher risks of bankruptcy and they're trying to preserve capital. So they're going to be highly unlikely to pay out a 21% dividend. So it's going to be cut, most likely. And so that's something that you guys need to be aware of. I wouldn't make my decisions based on just a ridiculously high dividend yield. I would really focus on what is the long-term growth prospects of the stocks that I'm looking at. Do I want to own a Carnival? Do I want to own a Delta? Do I want to own a United Airlines? Or do I want to own a Microsoft or an Apple or an Amazon? Something else right now, and this goes for all the stocks in general, is this. It's called a falling knife. And right now stocks are falling knives. And if you try to catch a falling knife, you're going to get cut, most likely. So one of the ways that you can avoid getting cut is dollar cost averaging in. I have been dollar cost averaging into the market over the past couple of years, but I have paused buying stocks because I could tell that stocks were going to keep falling. So I think it's okay to not dollar cost average in for the next 30 days and then to start dollar cost averaging in. I think when the S&P 500 drops a little more, you can just slowly start putting your money to work into the stock market, but I'd be very careful about dumping money in, putting large amounts of money in right now, and especially into these stocks, airline stocks and cruise stocks. I know that they look like they're a great value, and I think they are a great value once we get through this, but we don't want to try to catch a falling knife. We want to wait for it to go up, and then we simply grab it by the handle. See, nice and safe. Okay, so what are stocks going to do a month down the road or 3 months down the road? Well, I don't know. I can tell you this much. It looks like for this quarter and next quarter, we are going to see negative GDP growth, probably followed then by a sharp rebound in the shape of a V. So probably going to be pretty sharp, but it's not going to be probably to the later in the year. So again, I don't want you guys to listen to this video and panic and go and sell all your stocks. I really want to encourage you to keep a long-term investing mindset. And if you want to do some strategic selling, I think that's okay. I'm going to come out with a video in the next couple of days talking about how I've done some strategic selling and some key things I keep in mind when I sell. And that includes how to save the most money on your taxes, the difference between short-term and long-term capital gains, what are the wash sale rules that I need to be aware of, and a lot of other things that I take into consideration when I am cleaning up my portfolio and selling a small portion of it. Again, I'm 90% invested and I am a long-term investor, but this is a good opportunity to clean up your portfolio. So like this video and subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and be on the lookout for my next video because I think it's going to be really helpful to you during this market downturn. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing great, and I hope you guys are all still employed. I hope no one has lost their jobs, and I wish you guys all the best, and I'll see you guys next time.